Hello and welcome back to the SRL TCR League here for season number 10. We return after a week's hiatus as we enter round number 5 at the Virginia International Raceway. VIR, and it is better well known. We took last week off due to a family funeral here at Joseph Wright Broadcasting, so therefore our calendar has changed just a little bit for you out there that haven't been able to keep up to date, which means that Hungaroring, which was originally scheduled for last Friday, has been postponed to the end of the season, which means our 10-round championship extends to end on March 20th now, with Hungaroring being our 10th and final round of competition here. It also means that VIR now marks the halfway point of season number 10 as we run the full course. Of course, it is Friday the 13th today. Is it going to be unlucky for our drivers out there? Some of them will be hoping that other drivers will receive that bad luck and they'll be able to benefit from it. Of course, we do see a number of drivers absent from today for various reasons. Some big names not in our pro class today. In fact, only a few pro class drivers making it here at VIR. We do have some great tracks still coming up then. We head across to Mugello next week for the start of the second half of the season. And then we go to Brands Hatch, what I have to say is the home of touring car racing. That will end on end our February run anyway. And then we head to Catalonia as we return to Spain for round number 8. Originally our final round of the championship, but we head to Road America now for the penultimate round on March 13th. And as I say, that Hungaroring added on to the bottom due to its postponement last week. A great evening out last week for our drivers though. For a non-point scoring round around Donington. There was some great discussions over in the Discord. And if you do want to get involved and get into the Discord, then make sure that you hit that QR code and you can go and join the SRL Discord over there. But welcome to the broadcast booth and the new broadcast booth for the first time here on SRL TV as we prepare for round number 5 around VIR. It is going to be a very, very interesting race today. It has got long straights. It is going to require a lot of bump drafting and support. And it is going to be interesting to see where drivers are going to try and make those overtakes. Of course, you do have an absolute load of overtaking opportunities around this circuit. You think down towards the horseshoe of turn number 1. You jump down to the inside. You are going to be able to get a nice run through. The exit, though, are you going to be able to carry it on that tighter line? It could make you run side by side through into NASCAR bend. Overtakes normally being completed through the left hook of turn 4. Of course, you then got that wiggly run through the snakes and then up towards South Bend as well. I don't think we're going to see too many overtaking opportunities around there. However, never say never. You can overtake absolutely anywhere, of course. Oak Tree will be very tricky to get the overtake done, but if you can just place it up the inside into turn 12, you certainly could get yourself a nice position ahead going onto the back straight. Of course, we aren't running along the Madison Avenue chicane, but that's the only track map I could find. We run straight along past the chicane along the back straight. And then we head into some of the most fun corners on the racing track, if you get it right, of course. 14 and 14A of roller coaster. Definitely overtaking opportunities there as you've just come off the long back straight, and therefore the slipstream will help you get alongside. Get yourself down onto the braking zone for 14 and 14A. Try to get a nice clean run through roller coaster. I'm sure we will see a number of cars come together there. Hopefully nothing too serious, but there is definitely recipe for disaster as you try to make your overtake through there. Of course, Hog Pen, 17, 17A. It's going to be tight, but if you can get your exit right, you can then set yourself back up along the front straight again, ready for the horseshoe of turn number 1. The circuit itself then, VIR, opened back in 1957, but it closed less than 20 years later, but reopened once more in the 2000s, and that was by a New Yorker couple, and they managed to run it in a country club model, which means that you can own a membership to VIR, get yourself down there on track days, as well as accessing all of the spectator events that head around at VIR as well. So what a great model that is. I'm sure, though, not for the faint of hearted when you look at the money side of things. The circuit itself then has been used in various configurations. 6 configurations in total are still used in the real world today. On iRacing, you can get a few of those, including the North and South course, the Patriot course, the Grand course, and the full course as well. But, of course, there are 2 Grand Course layouts in the real world. We only see the North Grand Course layout, I believe it's called, in iRacing. But there you go. But we are looking at what will be an absolutely fantastic event here around VIR. That is for certain. We have got, we've just seen Arthur Thirdle come into the server, which means we have got 5 pro drivers going to be heading out there for the race today, which isn't a huge amount of pro drivers, bearing in mind how many we've got in the championship. Talking about the championship then, I think it is only fair that we have a look at the championship order as we head into the 5th round of competition. We will start by looking at the pro championship. If it wants to show, there we go. And it is Adam Delmont who is at the top of the Pro Championship right now with 531 points to his name. Will Lyon is the man in second. Of course, no drops have been applied yet. That will have an impact on the championship moving forward. So right now, Adam Delmont is dominating. But we saw this in Season 9 from Dan Mould. But obviously, once those drops were applied, it became a lot tighter in the championship. I expect the same this season. Kim Borkland holds on to 3rd right now. And speaking of Dan Mould, the defending champion, he's in 4th, but unfortunately will not be able to compete this week and potentially for the next couple of weeks moving forward, either due to an injury. So we hope Dan Mould the best in his recovery. So hopefully we'll see him back down on the racetrack before the end of this season. Logan McKinsey sits 5th in the pro standings right now, ahead of Jack Bolton. Bolton dominating the early races of this season, but has stepped back from the championships. We will not see him heading out for the remainder of the season as it stands. Luciano Espinera sits in 7th position right now with Bike 500, which was a very dominant team at the start of the championship, and will be looking to try and move their way back towards that dominant lead. Of course, they have dropped down to 4th position since in that championship. We then have Jaden Scotton running around in 8th position, and Jaden has been wished good luck over on the YouTube chat there from Wayne, who is supporting his cousin. Then we have Arthur Thirdle. He sits in 9th. We said Thirdle stepping into the server just before the end of practice here, so he will be out there in the altitude team. Anthony Lammer is running around in 10th position in the Pro Championship right now. And Declan Marsden is down at the bottom. No points on the board for him. Across to the Semi-Pro Championship then, and this has been a little bit of a switch around. And it is extremely close. Just 2 points separate Kev Aylett and Daniel Downing at the top of the championship. 305 points to the Jazz Esports driver of Aylett. 303 to the SRL Purple driver of Daniel Downing. Stephen Fry and Kyle Hardy share 290 points apiece in 3rd and 4th position for SRL Rosso and Result Clothing. Andrew Lovesey drops down to 5th in the championship after leading from the beginning of the season. He has 258 points to his name. 4 points clear of Daniel Lewis. Lewis's teammate John Brown just 6 points behind in 7th place. We then have Mark Draper in 8th position for SRL Purple, and he sits on 227 points, 4 points clear of Deck Crowther of Blade Designs, and Ronald de Jong rounds out the top 10 in your new semi-pro championship. This championship, obviously, this class, introduced this season. We then have Marhan Kodemen in 11th position with 135 points out of Tom Woodcock, and Jay Cooley sits in 13th position, and once again Cooley not able to attend today due to some hardware issues, meaning that he won't be able to get down on track once again. The semi-pro championship, the only one of the 4 championships that all drivers have got points on the board at the moment, and that semi-pro, as I say, the new class this season, and it is extremely competitive. Pro-Ams was where the class was split from, and they introduced that semi-pros, and leading your Pro-Ams is Demis Tigchelaar right now with 299 points to his name. He sits 22 points clear of Gonazalo Lovera, who was leading that Pro-Am championship for quite a while with the Bike 500 team, but has dropped down to second now. Jack Brown, originally in the AM class at the start of this season, he was then promoted into Pro-Ams after the first round of competition. You can see why. He is currently 3rd in the Pro-Am Championship for Next Gen Racing Green and is looking to try and catch up to Tigchelaar at the front. Fraser Geraghty holds on to 4th in the championship right now, ahead of Paul Hurley, and is J.B. Degay in 6th place with Alan McCain in 7th. Craig Walters runs around in 8th position in the championship, the same amount of points as the last season's AM winner, Lucas Henschel, and Stuart Gibbons of Blade Designs rounds out the top 10 of your Pro-Ams. In 11th position is Luke Woodhouse. He sits with 139 points after a double victory, of course, 2 times out ago at Long Beach. He was able to take the Pro-Am wins in both of those races, so we'll be hoping to try and extend even further and move into the top 10. Kevin Marshall runs around in 12th position for Lumen Motorsports, and James Colden without any points on the board for him. And last but certainly not least, we look at the Amateur Championship, and once again it is another extremely tight championship fight out there, as it is Torbjorn Maehle who has moved into the lead of that championship following his double win last time out at Summit Point. He sits now with 215 points. His teammate Vigard Olsen Leah just sitting in 3rd position, just a few points behind. So really good right now for the Sim Racing Norway amateur endurance team in the amateur class. Geoff Saunders of the JC Academy Topaz machine splits those two, and only 2 points separates him and the championship leader right now. Ben Gibbons sits in 4th position with 173 points, and Thomas Coombe, after leading the championship in the early stages, has fallen down to 5th position. We then have Chris London in 6th position as well, 107 points, 3 points clear of Scott Malcolm. Adam Littler holds on to 8th position ahead of Yannick Van Rienen, and James Brown runs out the top 10 in your amateur field. Without any points on the board right now is Chesney Vandenbroek, Nathan Hardcastle, and Aaron Matthews. However, that will be changing today as I look across at our amateur drivers. Aaron Matthews is out there running around in this session. He's currently the 4th fastest amateur. He is 22nd overall. Chesney Vandenbroek is also out. He is running in 28th overall. 7th position at the moment, so I believe it would just be Nathan Hardcastle without any points on the board in the amateur class at the end of this evening. That being said, then that is the championship standings as we head into this one, and we have a look now at the end of practice, because we have got just a few moments left until our drivers will be heading out into qualifying for the only qualifying session, I should say, at VIR. But we will definitely be seeing a new pole sitter out there today. That is for certain. Jack Bolton not out there today. Neither is Dan Mould, and neither, looking down the order, is Anthony Lammer. So our 3 pole sitters so far this season are not going to be heading out there for the qualifying session. And therefore, we are going to get a new name on the board in our pros and a new first-time pole sitter of season number 10. Right, drivers are about to get out for qualifying, and we are getting ready to start this one. So I hope that everyone who is watching is ready for this one. If you are watching over on the YouTube, then make sure that you have hit that subscribe button to SRL TV. That way you won't miss out any of the broadcasts for these amazing events. Neither will you miss any of the POVs that are occasionally streamed from the TCR races on iRacing. And if you are watching the unofficial broadcast over on the Twitch, make sure you hit that follow button as well, so you're notified whenever we go live at Joseph Wright Broadcasting. Right, we are ready for qualifying then, and our drivers are heading out for their opening laps. Now, of course, they will put lap times on the board on this out lap, because the way that VIR works is actually the pit exit, you exit before the timing line. So actually this out lap is a timed lap, though very unrepresentative, of course. Right, drivers are heading out here in the qualifying session, and we are going to have a look here at the Jazz Esports driver of Paul Hurley. If you are watching for the first time, then let me remind you of the colour system on the left-hand side once drivers start to put in their timed laps. As it looks like we do have a audio connected on the inside, so we will have to fix that momentarily. So we do apologise whilst we just jump across to this screen so we can get rid of the in-game comms. Sometimes this does happen, so we do apologise for that. Let's get that all switched off. Perfect. Excellent. We will get back across now. We apologise for that. Occasionally we do have issues like that, but we have fixed it now. So we are watching Paul Hurley head out here in the qualifying session, but the colours which I was talking about that you'll see on the left-hand side, the blue backgrounds behind your racing numbers, or on that little left-hand side down at the bottom, you will see the Pro class as blue. You will see the next highest class, which is the semi-pros. They are green. The Pro-Ams are purple, and the Ams are amateurs. Just so you know there, all drivers will be out on track at the same time. They are racing for overall position because they take their points from overall positions. We ride on board here with the Jazz Esports driver of Paul Hurley to see what he can do. We do get the unofficial lap times on the board as drivers get their out laps in. Paul Hurley, though, coming through turn number 1 of Horseshoe, that kink to the right of turn 2, and he abandons his lap early there. We jump on board just up ahead to Adam Delmont, the pro and overall championship leader as he came through NASCAR Bend, then through left hook of 4 into 5 on 5A. Through the snake here, we've got turn 6 to the left. This is 6A, and on to the back straight now as Delmont getting a distant toe here. This is a nice distance to get that pull forward, but without getting hindered through the corners. Through 7, 8 and 9 there. Now up towards South Bend. You've got to get on the brakes here. Very easy to drive yourself wide and into that grass. You don't want to do that, especially in qualifying, and invalidate your lap. Onto the brakes, turn number 11. Push out wide through Oak Tree. No longer an Oak Tree on the inside, of course, there used to be. And out of turn 12 and onto the back straight. I'm really hoping that they will have the addition of the Madison Avenue chicane at some point, which is run in the real life full course now, which pulls to the left there through that chicane. But we stay along the back straight here and up towards turn number 14. Delmont still getting this really strong toe up ahead now. Onto the brakes of 14 into 14A of Roller Coaster. That is Will Lyon, who sits ahead on the circuit and is looking to try and take full, Delmont is looking to try and take full advantage of his fellow pro driver. Through turn 17 of Hogpen into 17A, and we head out of the final turn here in qualifying up towards the timing line, and you can see how much Delmont is getting pulled across there, and we will now get our timing tower up on the left-hand side as we are going to be getting some strong lap times placed in, and Delmont and Lion, the first two drivers to put in some lap times there on the board. We watch Vigard, Olsen, Leah here. Leah looking to try and take the double back at Long Beach. Was leading the race for quite some time in the second race of the day, and I mean overall. Unfortunate contact with Jack Bolton sent him around and falling down the order. He did cover well, but he is still waiting to take his second win of the season. Olsen Leah, though, does find his way to the back of the field. 26th position on the board at the moment, drops to 28th without a representative lap time. Let's see what the 226 in the amateur class can do here, as Scotton has moved into provisional pole position ahead of Adam Delmont. Arthur Thurtle only just behind Delmont now as well, and then we are just seeing a gap to Will Lyon and a slow lap time on the board. Olsen Leah runs off the circuit there and validate this lap time. I was about to say a slow lap time on the board for Kim Borkland, but that's because Borkland hadn't put in a representative time. And now we see the 5 pros that are racing today inside the top 6. They are separated by the semi-pro driver of Daniel Downing in SRL Purple, who is currently the fastest of those semi-pros. Luke Woodhouse doing really well in the Pro-Ams as well. Of course, took the double back in Long Beach. Can he do the double again here today and move himself even higher up the order? We'll have to wait and see. The fastest of the AMs is Thomas Coombe. He will be loving that. He's going to want those points on the board, as Coombe fell down the order significantly from the lead down to 5th in the AM Championship. Coombe has a chance here with this type of qualifying performance to try and take some more wins on the board. Currently 2 to his name, tied with Saunders and Maehle for the most AM wins. No one's taken more than 2 wins in any of the classes apart from the pros. Adam Delmont has taken 4 pro wins. Of course, we should remember after last week at Summit Point, even though Delmont has taken 4 pro wins, he has not taken 4 overall wins. The second race of the day at Summit Point, the overall race was won by semi-pro driver Stephen Fry. Fry taking a second class win of the season and an overall win to his name. Qualifying then, 8 minutes left on the board at the moment. Some strong lap times from drivers out there. We look at JB Dejay here. Dejay having a bit of issues recently. We've seen him go flying around, flying into the sky, we should say, at Summit Point. So hopefully Dejay will have a bit of a nicer go at it today. He's currently 5th in class, 14th overall, as Paul Hurley puts the time on the board. But that time looking good enough for 29th at the moment, 11th in class, but we'll be looking to try and move up the order just a little bit more. Scotton currently holds a 700th of a second gap over Delmont. Delmont holding a 700th of a second gap over Thurtle. It is very, very close up there at the very front of the field right now. Are we going to see any changes for positions as we ride on board with Thurtle as he comes through roller coaster through 15 there? This 16-17 complex is, well, it's complex. It can really set you off through turn number 17, especially if you start to lose your rear end. Of course, you can put the throttle down to get these cars facing the right way again. However, that could cause some issues with keeping it on the racing surface. Across the timing line goes Arthur Thurtle there, and will it be an improvement? It will not, but will Lion found an improvement? Now, on the screen, it does say he has put in an identical lap time to Adam Delmont. I am going to argue that. He is 1/1000th of a second off of Adam Delmont at the moment, with Delmont's best time being a 56.594 and Lion's best time being a 56.595. But will Lion looking to try and get up there? Thurtle is it's literally the top 4 drivers here. Almost all of your pros are within 1/10 of a second of pole position right now, and it's showing you how important this toe is, because Lion has dropped behind Delmont. Remember, Lion gave Delmont the toe earlier in qualifying. Delmont has now been giving Lion the toe, and it has brought Lion into the mix. Can Kim Borkland find someone to work with? Because that is the only way that Borkland will be able to find his way towards the front of this order. He's racing in the Sim Racing Forces Norway machine, of course, partnered with De Jong today. De Jong this season. De Jong not racing tonight, though, unfortunately unable to make it back in time for the session. But it does mean that Borkland out there right now, currently 6th in session, sitting about 2/10 off of Daniel Downing. He has one non-pro driver between himself and the rest of the pro field, and he's going to want to be up there. This is a really good opportunity for pro drivers to take full advantage of others' absences tonight. We head down into turn number 11 and up towards Oak Tree. It looks like Borkland is starting to get a little bit of a distant toe here from the 23 machine, and that is really going to help him out along this back straight, could pull him up the order. That is Chesney Vandenbroek, who is racing for the first time this season. He is out there trying to put in some times on the board. As Arthur Thurtle now moves into second position in this session, and it means that the top 4 now separated by 7/100ths of a second. It is incredibly close. Is Borkland going to be able to take full advantage of the toe that he is getting from Vandenbroek here, as Vigard Olsen Lea goes 3rd in class, 23rd overall? We head out of the final turn here. It's still a toe for Borkland, still trying to follow that 23 machine around. It is on the wider line, though. He cuts towards the inside. Will we find an improvement? It's a 56.4. It's pole! It's provisional pole position for Kim Borkland. The distant toe there at the second half of the lap that turned into an extremely close toe will move Kim Borkland into provisional pole position ahead of Jaden Scotton, who now is trying to find somebody out there to work with. No one in front of him. There are a collection of cars along the back straight here who are looking for some support in this final 3 minutes of qualifying. But Kim Borkland, who has been the slowest of the pro drivers for most of this qualifying session, finds the time at the end and proves it doesn't matter where you start in a qualifying session with your lap times. It matters where you end, and he has managed to put a very quick time on the board there, and the first of our drivers to go into the 56.4s. What a lap time that was then. Can Durdle find time here? Doesn't have the toe in front of him. He's pulling a few drivers behind up towards the timing line. It doesn't look like this will be an improvement. It's a 57.7. Delmont, though, at the rear of this train, will be looking to try and benefit from a substantial amount of drivers ahead of him that can give him toe. It's a bit of a wobble through turn number 1. Of course, though, with having drivers just ahead of you like this, it could lead to you being slowed down during the corners, especially if we think towards the end of the lap here through the roller coaster and Hog Pen. It could be especially difficult for Delmont to be able to find time if he gets too close to the drivers ahead. Chris London moves up into 28th position, 5th in the amateurs. Thomas Coombe has got about 6 cars, make that 7 between himself and Ben Gibbons, who's the second fastest in the amateur field, which is extremely good, as that's a car off ahead of Delmont. 2 cars off, and Delmont has to slam on his brakes and give up his lap time with issues for drivers ahead here in the qualifying session. Not what Delmont would have been hoping for, as we've still got drivers out there looking to improve. Fraser Geraghty looking to find 3 tenths per second if he wants to get past Jack Brown. Brown, of course, trying to fight his way up the Pro-Am Championship right now and look for that lead. The fastest of the semi-pros is Mark Draper at the moment. He was the fastest in practice as well. He is looking like a very quick driver around VIR as cars pulling into pit lane there. That was Arthur Thurtle backing out of qualifying, deciding his run is done. Stephen Fry moves up to 19th overall. Will we see any improvements from these drivers in this train? No improvements for them. And with 40 seconds left on the board, it will just be drivers trying to finish their current laps. Carl Hardy currently sitting 17th overall. He runs 7th in class. Up towards the timing line. He'll go and he backs out of it. No improvement there for Carl Hardy as Vegard Olsen Leah looking to try and move up his AM order. It will be a 10th slower and he will not improve in that. We are just waiting to see if Luciano Espinera gets a time in that is representative or valid, but he won't, unfortunately, which means Luciano Espinera, who jumps in as our 6th and final pro just at the end of qualifying here, will have to start race number 1 from the very back of the field, but it does mean now we've got 6 pro drivers heading out there. Right then, it is time to look at the grid for race number 1. 2 races coming your way, of course. But for race number 1, it will be Kim Borkland starting on pole position ahead of Jaden Scott, and Arthur Thurtle will be starting from 3rd, and Adam position there. And 5th position will be for Will Lyon. Mark Draper will be the fastest semi-pros and starts in 6th. 7th will go the way of Daniel Downing. 8th position will be for Jack Brown, 9th for Luke Woodhouse, and 10th will be Fraser Garrity. Tom Woodcock will be starting from 11th position ahead of Demis Tigchelaar. 13th position will be for Daniel Lewis. John Brown in 14th ahead of Deck Crowther. Thomas Coombe, the fastest of the AMs, will start in 16th ahead of Carl Hardy. Gonzalo Lovera will start in 18th. Stephen Fry will start in 19th position ahead of JB Touche. Andrew Lovesey will start in 21st ahead of Kev Aylett. Then we'll see Stuart Gibbons and Geoff Saunders rounding out the top 24. Ben Gibbons will start in 25th out of Vegard Olsen Leah. Lucas Henschel will start in 27th with Chris London in 28th. 29th will be for Chesney Vandenbroek, and Alan McCain will start in 30th. Aaron Matthews is out there for the first time, starting in 31st ahead of Torbjorn Maehle. Paul Hurley will start in 33rd ahead of Scott Malcolm. Kevin Marshall will start in 35th position. And Luciano Espinera, no lap time on the board after entering the session towards the end, but he will begin this one in 36th position. Will have a lot to do to try and move up the order towards the front of the field. Of course, if he can get into the top 15 by the end of race number 1, it means for race number 2, our longer 25-minute race, he will be able to start that one from pole position with our top 15 invert for the grid of race number 2. Drivers then, prepare as we have our lights up and we are ready to go here. And we are green and away at VIR for the first time. A few drivers getting slow launches off the line, but towards the front, they are going to go 2 by 2 from second backwards into turn number 1. Thurtle going to the inside of Jaden Scott and makes that move for the position. Will Lyon gets up the inside of Adam Delmont as well. There's contact in the background. Drivers around. Delmont stays to the inside of Lyon here and will hold on to 4th position as we go through turn number 3. Behind them, there are drivers around and others trying to find their way through. It looks like Kevin Marshall has been penalised on the start of this one as we watch drivers of Carl Hardy and Ben Gibbons run side by side. Hardy dropping down to 20th on the race start here as we've got meatball flag for Stuart Gibbons, who is already out of this race. The 2 teammates of Vegard Olsen Leah and Torbjorn Maehle trying to fight it out here for the bottom of the podium in the amateur field. 3rd and 4th place right now, but it is being led by Olsen Leah, who is trying to chase down the amateur championship leader of Torbjorn Maehle. We will catch up with what happened at the start very shortly, but right now it looks like Carl Hardy may be having more issues. It looks like it's fallen down to 25th position now as he's just ran off the circuit, so that means Hardy has fallen a number of positions off his starting place and is now on the hunt to try and make his way back through. Down through roller coaster though, and it is Kim Borkland leading the way out front ahead of Arthur Thurtle. Adam Delmont, the championship leader, runs around in 4th position on the chase right now. Luciano Espinera started this race from 36th position. He is up to 22nd position right now. He has had 14 places gained on the opening lap of this race. That is an astonishing start for him, avoiding all of the issues going on around. John Brown moves into 3rd position, but under attack here from Woodcock, who is looking to try and take some more strong results to support his championship resurgence here at the midway point of the season. They still run side by side with Brown up the inside of Woodcock, and that is Brown's teammate Lewis trying to get involved as well. Woodcock on the wider line here, but will try to keep it through as we switch across for turn number 5, and he does get the inside line there and will get the position too. That's the podium in the semi-pro field. It is 11th position overall in that fight at the moment, as they try to find any position they can at the early stages. It is 20 minutes, of course. That's going to be about 11 laps of asking here at VIR, which is not too long, actually. On a circuit like this, you do have a number of overtaking opportunities, of course, but you're going to want to try and take them when you can. Woodcock here already pulling a little bit of an advantage over those behind. Right, let's see if we can have a quick jump back here at what happened, and it's already going wrong here. It's contact ahead of Gibbons. He then hits Dejay. And look at that, just absolute pandemonium in the background there for a number of drivers as we try to catch back up onto the live pictures once more. It was pandemonium there, but it looks like it has sorted itself out towards the front. What happened then also, if we can, to Carl Hardy on that opening lap, we saw him drop a number of positions as well, and as expected, it was through South Bend. A slowdown. It was a slowdown for Carl Hardy. That's what dropped him so many places. Right, we need to go live because we have a fight towards the front, and that's a big slide for Adam Delmont into turn number 1 there, trying to get to the inside of Jaden Scotton. He has to stay behind for now, but that was a very big dive. Stephen Fry running side by side here with Kev Aylett at the moment. Fry to the inside, Aylett to the outside. Aylett leading the semi-pro championship, of course, right now. Stephen Fry off the back of an overall race win at Summit Point, looking to try and move up the order in their fight for 6th position in class. Fry is going to stay to the inside there of Aylett, but it looks like he is going to lose a little bit of time running on the grass there in their fight, and it looks like we are going to see those settle down. Dejay behind, though, is getting Luciano Espinera to his inside as Espinera gets up the position. It's a slide from Dejay, and a massive, massive accident for JB Dejay as Espinera gets that position done for 19th. Dejay just loose on the rear end, and a massive accident into the tyre wall there. We go back to our Pro-Ams now as Luke Woodhouse fights with Fraser Geraghty up to roller coaster. It's side by side here. They settle themselves down, and Woodhouse holds on to 2nd in class, 9th overall, ahead of Fraser Geraghty as they now come up towards Hog Pen, and they stay single file in that fight. Who's not staying single file is the amateur field, as Thomas Coombe, after having a great qualifying, is down to 3rd in class. I wonder what happened to Coombe there, but he is trying to fight with Chesney Vandenbroek, who's up ahead of him in 2nd, but he does have Maehle and Olsen Leah behind, the 2 teammates who are putting in some strong results as of late in their Sim Racing Norway endurance team, the amateur Sim Racing endurance team, I should say. Up towards turn number 1, they have settled themselves down in this fight right now, but Ben Gibbons, who is leading the amateur field, is trying to fight with Alan McCain, who's 5th in the Pro-Ams, trying to get into that top 20 right now. Of course, if any of these drivers are able to extend their way up into the top 15, they will find themselves in the invert order, which is what allowed Stephen Fry to win last week overall in race number 2. So if he's able to find 2 more positions here, he could find himself in the same position he was last week, as it looks like we may have lost Chris London. No, he's back again. We have not. Running ahead there, London, of Lucas Henshaw, his teammate, but black flag for Luke Woodhouse. Luke Woodhouse is going to have to visit pit lane from penalty. He was 3rd in the Pro-Am fields and will now have to drop behind, which will give Demis Tigchelaar that 3rd place in class, and he has got a number of semi-pros between himself and McCain, who runs behind. So that will give Tigchelaar almost a guaranteed podium here. Smoke ahead as it's Woodhouse just allowing drivers through here with that penalty. He's trying not to get in anyone's way. He knows that his race is done. He's not going to try and ruin it for anyone else. And there he moves to the right-hand side, and Luke Woodhouse will have to come down pit lane to serve that penalty. We catch on to the semi-pro fight here as Steve Aylett gets... Stephen Fry is trying to Steve Aylett. Stephen Fry is chasing down Kev Aylett, but holding on to Andrew Lovesey and Daniel Lewis behind. Luciano Espinero sees this fight, as fight is now into that 15th place, by the way, which will give him pole in race 2. Luciano Espinero is going to continue fighting here to try and get himself into that top 15, because it means that the pro driver who would have started at the back of race number 1 could start to the front of race number 2. We're approaching the halfway distance on time here, as that was a switch across for Andrew Lovesey. Will get up the inside of Fry. There's a bit of contact there, and Fry will have to cut the corner. That will be a slowdown for Stephen Fry, who is not happy with Andrew Lovesey, who's trying to make a resurgence in the semi-pro field. And Stephen Fry falls to 18th now, loses out on that invert pole for the time being. Andrew Lovesey holds on to the invert pole, but he slides. A big slide there. It's going to invite Daniel Lewis in. Around the outside, Lewis goes to try and make this move, as he can't quite do it. It looks like Stephen Fry there. What happened to Stephen Fry? It's a big slide for Fry. I wondered why it showed him as 8th position. And Stephen Fry abandons race number 1 following the contact and then going off the circuit there. As we're watching just up there, it was Daniel Lewis getting past Luciano Espinero as this fight continues on, trying to get the inverted pole as Daniel Lewis runs off the circuit through roller coaster. We'll have to rejoin just before Hog Pen there, but now drops down to 18th. Alan McCain moves through. Daniel Lewis stays out of the way, does not want to rejoin dangerously here. It does mean that Daniel Lewis has just dropped about 10 race positions here before he's finally rejoined onto the racing surface. Aaron Matthews out there for the first time, goes sideways in the glamorous racing machine and finds himself off the circuit towards roller coaster. But gets it back going again. We'll find his way on at about turn 16, it looks like. Just making sure it's all clear, and will return 9th in class for him. This is the lead fight. It is Arthur Thurtle out front. That has been a change, of course. I'm not sure when that happens. We've been watching so much going on behind. I'm going to see if I can see when this overtake for P number 1 occurred. It looked like it happened quite a while ago, when we were just catching up with everything that was going on behind. But it is a move for the lead for Arthur Thurtle, who now runs on ahead. I'm still scrolling. I'm all the way back on lap number 1. It did not happen on lap number 1, so I cannot find when or where this overtake for P number 1 occurred. As I continue to scroll, we are watching Adam Delmont at the moment in this fight. No, I cannot find this overtake for P number 1, so we will just have to appreciate Thurtle's move from our imaginations. But it is still very, very close out the front here. And with the timer counting down, coming up now to what will be 5 laps to go, The leading 3 drivers, Turtle, Brooklyn and Delmont, are all on each other's bumpers. Lyon's just behind as well. Scotland's not too far back. He still have Daniel Downing and Jack Brown in this fight behind as well. So it's certainly not over here. As we watch the leaders come up towards turn number 1, are we going to see Brooklyn go for a move? He goes towards the outside. Turtle goes defensive, and that's to the inside. Goes Adam Delmont there for second position. Could it turn into a potential move on Arthur Thurtle as well? It's side by side still between Delmont and Brooklyn. Brooklyn rolled the inside as we go through NASCAR Bend. Delmont trying to keep it on that wider line. Still on the outside into left hook. It will keep him to the inside line as we switch across to the right. There's contact. Borkland off. Lyon is through. And so it's Jaden Scotton. Borkland down now to 5th position. Contact there with the semi-pro leader of Daniel Downing, who's now down to 6th. Jack Brown moves up. Daniel Downing stands 7th. Brown up to 6th. But that has just given Turtle a nice advantage at the front. Of course, a distant toe will certainly come back into this one. But Jaden Scotton moves past with Will Lyon and Kim Borkland. Now at the back of this train of drivers as we went and watched early doors there. And we're glad we caught that on as we did. What happened here? Contact between Hurley and Vandenbroek. Both drivers off through roller coaster. We've seen instances like this in any sort of racing around roller coaster. It was to the inside there from Vandenbroek to try and get the inside of Hurley. It was just a slight bit of contact. Both drivers off the circuit in that one. A real shame for Hurley and Vandenbroek on that one. Vandenbroek picking up a meatball flag in that instant and had to visit pit lane, which means he's down in 32nd and 9th in the amateur field now. Paul Hurley did not get a meatball flag, but in that in the Pro-Am field, he's down to 6th in class, 27th overall now. As we look at 6 more minutes to go in this one, it is Arthur Thurtle leading your pros and overall race at the moment. Jack Brown is leading your Pro-Ams. He's part of this leading train of drivers. So is Daniel Downing, who is leading these semi-pros. And Thomas Coombe, after losing down the order, a huge wreck for the 3 podium sitters in the amateur field. Coombe, Maehle and Gibbons, who are all in the podium positions in the amateur field, have just gone off at turn 1, and Scott Malcolm leads the amateur field ahead of Chris London. Vigard Olsen-Leah moves through to 3rd. What an accident! And all 3 of those drivers are going to fall down the order. What happened? It looked like that may have been a move across from Gibbons. Let's see. It was a move and then a slam on the brakes. That's a difficult one to judge. But our leading 3 amateur drivers, as we moved across to them, huge wreck. About the same time, Gonazalo Lovera was caught up in. Gibbons just driving back onto the track, hitting Lovera. Jack Gibbons there. Sorry, Stuart Gibbons there, just not coming back on in the way that you would have hoped. No, it was Ben Gibbons, sorry, it was Ben Gibbons not coming back on the way that you would have hoped for. Ben Gibbons running around now with a meatball, having to come down pit lane. But what a disaster. Back to the front, and it is fight for the lead. Thurtle to the inside as Delmont tried to make the move on the outside line. It didn't work. He had to move back into it there. Up towards NASCAR Bend. And these drivers, all 5 of the leaders, know they have an opportunity to take an overall win here. Take maximum points on the board. Lucas Henschel has had an issue. That's through Hog Pen off the circuit. Back to the leaders now as they continue to fight with about 2.5 laps to go, if our estimations are correct. I'd argue that next that might be white flag, actually, but we shall see. Delmont pushing hard behind Thurtle. He knows he has the chance here to take a 5th-class victory, a 4th overall victory of the season, and to extend his championship lead at the front. The drivers behind looking for some wins of their own. Thurtle has taken 1 win so far this season. Will Lyon still looking for his first, as is Scotton and Borkland. Luciano Espinera, though, we should say, the pro driver currently running in 14th, will be on the front row of the invert as it stands, which will be great for him after starting race number 1 from the very back of the field. He has absolutely flown through this order and has shown some really good pace there. Through Hog Pen then, this leading train of drivers go. We will get 2 more laps in this race as it's a slow exit from Lyon. Gives Scotton an opportunity here. Borkland, can he do something as we come up towards turn number 1? It's going to go to the outside for Delmont, to the inside, to the outside. It's 3 wide behind. Delmont goes to the side by side for the lead. He can't do it. There's going to be contact. Borkland and Jack Brown there, a little bit of a nudge, but it keeps them all clear. Back marker ahead here. Hopefully he'll keep it out of the way, and we will see them just continue around without too many issues, and we see this leading fight continue. But Thurtle holds on ahead of Delmont. Sideways there for Jack Brown, as it's Daniel Downing and Mark Draper, the 2 teammates in SRL Purple, running the lead and second in the semi-pros, but they are going to want the overall position ahead of Jack Brown if they can take it. Remember, drivers take their points from overall race results, not from class position. Through the S's as we go up towards South Bend. There's been a bit of an opening between these drivers at the moment. Andrew Lovesey had picked up a meatball flag. What happened to Lovesey? A huge wreck here. Is it contact? No, it's wide on his own accord. And Andrew Lovesey of Altitude slams into the wall on the outside of Roller Coaster. Back up to the fight for your lead, though. Delmont on the rear end of Thurtle as we head along the back straight towards Roller Coaster. He looks to the inside. Is he going to try and make it side by side? He certainly does. Go to the inside there. He switches around to the outside, and that's Torbjorn Maehle. Sorry, no, that's Kim Borkland, sorry, off the circuit. Is it? No, that was Torbjorn Maehle. I don't know. Who was it? It was Torbjorn Maehle off. I did call it right. It was Torbjorn Maehle off the circuit. It was a back marker. It was not this lead fight. Delmont, though, did get that position confirmed on Arthur Thurtle that we saw him do. As it is to the outside for Lyon, to the inside for Scotton. It's 4 cars in this fight right now, but Kim Borkland is certainly not out of it. Behind you can see Downing, Brown and Draper fighting out for first, well, actually, it's the first and second in the semi-pros. It's the 6th overall. They hide behind the left hook there as we watch this leading train of drivers. It'll all come down to Roller Coaster. It's going to be the slipstream along the back straight in this fight up towards Roller Coaster. That is going to do something. Is Thomas Coombe able to move up past Paul Hurley here to try and take 21st position after all the issues that he is having? He might still get some decent points on the board, but right now it is Scott Malcolm looking to take his first amateur win, taking advantage of the podium sitters in the M class. Going bowling at turn number 1. This is where the slipstream is going to come into play. Who is going to come out on top here in this fight? Delmont is leading the train of drivers. It's Thurtle in 2nd, then Lyon. Scotton in 4th and Kim Borkland in 5th. Are they going to be able to do anything up towards Roller Coaster? Thurtle looks to the inside of Delmont. They're just not close enough, but Thurtle pushing hard. Try and close the gap. He loses time there on the exit. Delmont now has half a second clear, and it is now the push for 2nd position through Hog Pen out of the final turn we go and up towards the timing line. Adam Delmont is going to win for the 5th time this season. Who is going to take second? Lion knows he doesn't have the chance. He takes third. After third, it will take second. Scotland will take fourth out of Portland. Daniel Downing will win the semi-pros out of Jack Brown. Mark Draper takes second in class. Fraser Garrity takes second in the Pro-Ams. Who is going to come home, though, at the front of the amateurs? Because Scott Malcolm, Vigard Olsen-Leah and Chris London run up towards Hogpen, separated by just a second. It looks like it's going to go the way of Scott Malcolm here for the first time this season. Olsen-Leah looks to try and take second position. Can Chris London take it away from him? No, it can't. It'll go the way of Scott Malcolm ahead of Olsen-Leah. London just comes in behind in third position. As off the circuit is Thomas Coombe out of Hogpen. But will not lose class position. Does lose overall position to Lucas Henschel. What happened there? For Coombe, he was spun. A massive spin there. As he tries to get past Paul Hurley. A very big spin there for Thomas Coombe. And a real shame as he went for the position he lost to. And that will be race number 1 over and done with. So let's get our results here from the first race of the day. The win then went the way of Adam Delmont for what would be a 5th time this season in class, a 4th overall. A very strong result there for Adam Delmont. Second position went the way of Arthur Thurtle. Will Lyon came home in third position ahead of Jadon Scotton. And then it was Kim Borkland who rounded out the top 5 in the end and kept all of the pros, apart from our driver who started, of course, at the back of the field, all together there. Daniel Downing took the win in the semi-pros in the end, which would be his first win of his third win of the season for Daniel Downing, so a strong result for him. And Jack Brown wins his first Pro-Am class race of the season. A great result for the man who started in the amateurs at the beginning. Mark Draper took home 8th position overall, ahead of Fraser Garrity and Tom Woodcock. 11th went the way of Demis Tigchelaar and Dec Crowther. Then it was Kev Aylett in 13th, Luciano Espinero in 14th, Anna McCain. We'll start race number 2 in pole. We finished in 15th ahead of Carl Hardy and Daniel Lewis. Scott Malcolm benefiting from the podium collection there on the crash ahead of him at turn number 1. Means he came home to take his first class win of the season. Then it was Vigard Olsen-Leah in second in class ahead of Chris London. We then had Paul Hurley in 21st out of Lucas Henschel. Thomas Coombe recovering to finish 4th in class, 23rd overall out of Geoff Saunders. Aaron Matthews in his first race took home 25th out of Ben Gibbons. Kevin Marshall staying 27th. And Vandenbroek, his first race, came home in 28th out of John Brown. Torbjorn Maehle came home a lap down in the end ahead of Andrew Lovesey, who was 2 laps down, and Gonzalo Lovera 3 laps down out of the race. Early with Stephen Fry, Luke Woodhouse, JB Dejay and Stuart Gibbons. Right, we've got just a couple of minutes out of this one to have a chat with some of our drivers, and we will see if we can have a word, in fact, with Scott Malcolm. Scott Malcolm then was the driver who came home in the win in the end in amateurs, racing with a broken finger, taking full advantage of everything going on ahead of you, Scott. A great first win.
I can't believe that. Maybe I should break more of my fingers.
It came to you today then, so Friday the 13th, it's bad luck for other drivers, not so much for you. You were able to hold on then to the win ahead of Ben. Yeah, how did you feel? Sorry, not ahead of Ben, but how did you feel about that one?
It wasn't looking good after qualifying and practice. I was like dead last. I think I qualified third last only because 2 guys never put in times. But I just tried my best to stay out of trouble and just watch everybody go off in front of me. I didn't even realise I got the class win until I looked at the standings about 2 minutes ago.
Well, it was a great win for you, say, taking advantage of other people's issues. It does mean in race number 2 you will be starting at the front of the amateur field. Are you hoping to maybe hold on to that? Are you just going to see what happens, try to take it easy? How's your approach to race number 2?
There's no way I'm going to hold on to that. There's faster guys behind me like Vingard and even Chris. I think you've got Thomas as well, so they'll get by me if they can keep it on the track.
Well, good luck for race number 2, Scott, and let's see if you could potentially take the double.
Yeah, I'll go and break another couple of fingers on my other hand.
All right, good luck, Scott.
See you later.
Scott Malcolm there, coming home in the win of the amateur field in race number 1. It really went his way, and he'll be happy with that one. I should say he didn't even realise that he came home to take the win, but it was a win and a good one at that, taking full advantage of that 3-car wreck at the very front of the field. That included, obviously, the competitors that were looking to try and take the win. And this is, if we just get back a little bit, another look at that accident. These are the leading 3 amateur drivers, and it is a big bowling moment up through turn number 1 that sent all 3 drivers off and around, with them all having to contend with various degrees of damage. You can see that it was major damage for Torbjorn Maehle, who had to pull to the side and back out of that one. Warm up then for race number 2 has come to a close, and we are going to prepare for the second race of the day. We will talk you through the grid in just a moment. It will be the top 15 from race number 1 reverse. So we are just waiting for us to tick across into the second race session. And there we are. So let's grab the grid order then for race number 2. We are going to see Alan McCain start this one on pole position ahead of Luciano Espinera, who started, shall we remember, race number 1 from 36th and last on the grid. He managed to work his way up to 14th to take a front row start in the invert. Kev Aylett will start in 3rd ahead of Det Crowther. Demis Tigchelaar in 5th ahead of Tom Woodcock. Fraser Geraghty will start in 7th ahead of Mark Draper, and it's Jack Brown in 9th and Daniel Downing rounding out the top 10. Kim Borkland will start this one in 11th ahead of Jayden Scotton. We'll then see Will Lyon, Arthur Thurdo and Adam Delmont, the podium sitters in race 1, starting in 13th, 14th and 15th. Carl Hardy will start in 16th ahead of Daniel Lewis, and then Scott Malcolm, our amateur winner from race 1, will start in the lead of the AMs in 18th place. He'll start ahead of Igor Olsen-Leah, and Chris London. Paul Hurley will start in 21st ahead of Lucas Henschel. Thomas Coombe will start in 23rd position, and Geoff Saunders in 24th. Aaron Matthews will start this one in 25th ahead of Ben Gibbons. Kevin Marshall saved from 27th. Chesney Vandenbroek will start in 28th ahead of John Brown and Torbjorn Maehle. Andrew Lovesley will start in 31st ahead of Gonzalo Lovera, Stephen Fry and Luke Woodhouse. If they make it to the grid, we should see JB Dejay and Stuart Gibbons starting 35th and 36th, but we're yet to see them grid up, so we might not see them start the second race of the day. Right then, 25 minutes is going to be on the board for this second race. 25 minutes, which means we'll be going about 2 additional laps over race number 1, which means drivers such as our pros that will be starting towards the back end of the top 15 will be having just that little bit longer to move their way towards the front. Of course, every position does count for our drivers. They take their championship points from their overall race position. Lights are up then, 25 minutes on the board. And it is green, and we are away for the second time at VIR. It looks like some great launches towards the front of the field this time. Not too many cars getting slow off the line. Alan McCain goes defensive at the front as the pro driver of Espinera, straight away looking to try and move into the overall race lead, but he might have Kev Aylett here just having a nip at his heels up towards NASCAR Bend. Has to stay behind. It's side by side behind there as Woodcock moves past Tigchelaar for 5th position. And it does look like, for the most part, we have stayed mostly green. It does look a couple of AMs have had some issues towards the background, though, that we will have a look at in just a moment's time. But through the snake now, and the drivers are settling it down single file towards the front. And towards the back, they have also settled it single file. Aaron Matthews and Chris London are the 2 drivers in the amateur field who have had some issues off the line here. Is it contact? It is contact, and they've gone around both drivers, and it looks like everyone else avoiding just about. It looks like that was Ben Gibbons, who had a little bit of a knock there involved in that one, but it's for the most part just a couple of cars involved. Luciano Espinilla here pushing along behind Alan McCain. He's going to want to try and move into the overall race lead of the race here and try to really take advantage of the inverted front row start. It's to the inside of McCain up towards Roller Coaster. McCain allows him through, allows Luciano Espinilla to take the overall lead of race number 2 here as they go through Roller Coaster. It looks like most drivers now have settled themselves down in their own fights, not wanting to go side by side on the opening lap here, as this is Espinilla's teammate of Gonazalo Lovera running in 29th position. 33 cars looks like they have started this second race of the day, and as we talk about how many cars there are, let's get our timing screen to the left-hand side so we can see which order they all sit in, as Will Lyon is trying to make his way up the field now and does make his way past Daniel Downing as he's following Kim Borkland up the order. The 2 pro drivers trying to find their way towards the overall front of this race, as this is Jack Brown getting to the inside of Demis Tigchelaar, and Brown now moves into 2nd in class with Alan McCain leading that Pro-Am field right now. Can Jack Brown potentially take a double here after taking his first class win in race 1? He has been looking fast around VIR. It is possible. Vandenbroek gets the position over Torbjorn Maehle as they fight it out for 5th in class, as that's a huge hit with the wall there for Gonazalo Lovera. It looks like Ben Gibbons just about avoided any contact there, and off the circuit is Alan McCain. But he tries to stick it to the inside of Crowther here. There's contact with the Blade Designs machine, but Deck Crowther holds on to it. McCain now could be under attack from Jack Brown. Jack Brown is right behind him. Brown moves past Woodcock there with the slipstream. McCain moves to the right-hand side, and Jack Brown now looking for the lead of the Pro-Am field. To the inside, up towards Roller Coaster. It's side by side between Brown and McCain. McCain is not going to back out of it like he did with Espinilla. They stay side by side. Brown touches the glass, runs off the circuit just a little bit, and will have to relinquish any fight with Alan McCain. At this time, a little bit of contact there with Tom Woodcock. And could that be Demis Tigchelaar trying to get involved in this one? No, Tigchelaar now under attack from Garrity. Forced onto the glass, Garrity goes through, and here comes Kim Borkland in the amateur field, pulling Will Lyon along with him. It is side by side between Borkland and Garrity. To the inside is Borkland. Lyon trying to follow through as well. That's also Jaden Scotton there as well. There's all 3 pro drivers, but to that inside line, just trying to use each other to pull their way through the field. It's side by side right now, but Borkland does pull ahead. At the moment, Lyon trying to keep that position as well over Garrity. He's stuck to the inside, outside of NASCAR Bend. Through now, left hook, and he has to back in behind. Lyon, who was following Borkland so closely, cannot get past Fraser Garrity for 7th overall. Garrity holds 2nd in class, McCain 4th, because what has happened to Jack Brown? Jack Brown is all the way down in 17th position. What happened there for Brown? I'm trying to see here. Brown's off the circuit through the final corner there. He just runs wide through Hogpen for Jack Brown off the circuit and just falls down the order. That is how close the field is at this early stages that just that one mistake and Brown is down about 15 positions. Jaden Scotton here looking to fight with Will Lyon as they run side by side up towards roller coasters. Scotton going to stay there to the inside line. He certainly is not. He's going to back behind as that was Daniel Downing, who ran quite deep into roller coaster. Adam Delmont then got that outside, turns to the inside, and Adam Delmont moves into a top 10 position now. Arthur Turtle in 12th, looking to try and pull through as well. But Delmont looking to try and potentially take a 6th class win. He's got a lot of work to do, but it's not off the table. Purple lap times. Man out front, Luciano Espinera. He was running fast in race number 1. He just started from the back. He is just pulling away right now, taking full advantage. Kev Aylett in the semi-pros. Deck Crowther in the semi-pros. Feeling rather uneventful at this stage, but it's kind of what you want for the points. But Borkland moves to the inside of McCain. Through NASCAR bend, does he have to back out, or will he go for it? He's going to go for it. A little bit of a nudge there for McCain, and that invites Tom Woodcock back into the fight here of Kim Borkland. Woodcock will back behind though, and will stay out of it for the time being. But these other classes do not have to relinquish positions to the drivers fighting at all. There is no need for it. They are going for championship points based on overall positions. They actually want the best overall result possible, even if it is a winning class. They'll be going for even more if they can. Vigard Olsen Leah talking about wins in class. It has moved past Scott Malcolm to take the lead in the amateur field. Olsen Leah took 1 amateur win last season. Could have taken the double back at Long Beach. Wasn't quite able to do that. Can he find his 2nd win of the season here around VIR? It's going to be tough. Scott Malcolm's chasing down, but you've also got Thomas Coombe, who's already got 2 wins to his name and is looking to try and fight his way back up the championship order as well in the amateur championship, chasing down in 3rd. So these amateur drivers certainly are still pushing all that they can to fight those championships. All of the championships extremely close right now, with the exception of the pros, but that's only because we've not had the drop weeks yet applied, which I think are going to have a significant impact in all of the events. As we head up towards turn number 1, Jaden Scotton here is side by side with Adam Delmont. Is lying up the inside of Garrity as well. It's 2 by 2 as Borkland's around the outside of McCain and gets that position. It's going to be to the inside for Garrity here on Lyon. Delmont to the inside as Scotton. They continue to run side by side through NASCAR bend up into left hook here. It's going to get the advantage to Lyon and to Scotton on that inside line. Delmont will have to wait behind. For now, there's contact there between Lyon and Garrity. There's more contact and a huge wreck. And Turtle's caught up in it as well, and more cars are going to be piling into this, as that's about 6 or 7 cars involved in that huge wreck. A number of cars down and out. We need to have a look at that one. It doesn't come up saying that anyone crashed there, which is absolutely ridiculous. Right, let's see if we can catch this one once more. We'll ride on board with Arthur Thurdle. What a massive accident that was. 6 cars have received meatball flags from this accident. Here's the contact ahead, into the wall and straight back across. Absolute huge wreck there. This is the initial contact. So this is Lyon and Garrity. There was the tap. Then there's another bit of contact there. They swing off towards the wall. A huge hit there. And it throws Lyon back into the racing surface. But behind, drivers are just still full throttle. Yellow flags are out, cars are everywhere, and I can't see brake lights at all. There's a brake lights from Hardy, but I'm not surprised we had so many meatball flags with that one, because almost nobody used their brakes in that accident. And of course, if you're not going to slow down for an accident, you are going to find yourself involved in it, which means meatball flags in net. Fraser Geraghty, Mark Draper, Daniel Downing, Will Lyon, Arthur Thurtle, not a meatball but out of the race. Carl Hardy and Daniel Lewis both also with meatballs. Lucas Henschel and Gonzalo Lovera both already out of this race. A number of cars down and out at the midway point of this racing, of this race. 13 minutes still on the board here as we are watching Det Crowther and Kev Aylett. They are fighting out for the win in the semi-pro field. Kim Borkland is chasing down there. But the amateur field are going to be loving this, because they are going to be able to take full advantage to get some great overall race points here. And at the moment, Vigard Olsen Leah is just 7/10 shy of a top 10 result. Only 4 pro drivers still remaining in this one. Scotton and Delmont 7th and 8th right now, trying to chase down McCain and Woodcock in a hunt for what would be 5th position, as this is Scotton to the inside of Alan McCain. And we'll get that move done towards turn number 1. And Jaden Scotton will move up into 6th position overall, and we'll take that away from Alan McCain. Adam Delmont chasing down behind Wayne Purple of 56.7, as this is once again the fight for the lead of the semi-pros. Det Crowther chasing down. Aylett moves to the inside. There's going to be contact in that one. Crowther moves into the lead of the semi-pros. Aylett, though, off the circuit, comes back on and goes around. Tom Woodcock moves into 2nd there. What happened in that rejoins? We saw the move up the inside from Crowther, a nudge to the inside of Aylett. Aylett's leading the semi-pro championship, remember. He came back on straight into Borkland. That was an unsafe rejoin if I've ever seen one. Of course, we saw another one in race number 1, of course. We saw that unsafe rejoin from Ben Gibbons. So that seems to be the call for action today, as Jaden Scotton runs wide through Oak Tree. Manages to hold on ahead of McCain, but it moves Delmont into 3rd in class, 5th overall right now. Luciano Espinera is 7 seconds clear at the front here and is hunting down his first overall race win of the season. And as it stands, he will be getting there quite comfortably, as we have got a number of cars out of this one, of course, which means that drivers are a little bit more separated out there. Thomas Coombe, though, is looking to try still and move up to 2nd position in this race in the amateur field. It will be 12th overall, but he does have Stephen Fry of the semi-pros behind him right now. Coombe, of course, could have taken an extra position or 2 in race number 1 overall, but spun along the front straight here on the last lap of asking. Across the timing line we go. 10 minutes on the board. We're looking about 6 more laps in this one, as Thomas Coombe is looking to try and take 2nd away from Scott Malcolm. Stephen Fry behind is looking to try and take what will be 13th or even 12th position away from the amateurs ahead. Olsen Leah looking unchallenged right now in the lead of the amateur field, as he holds on to an 11th. Stephen Fry looks to the inside of Left Hook, gets that position past Coombe. Coombe does not fight it too hard, and we'll just be hoping that Malcolm will lose a little bit of time as well when Fry goes to overtake him. Of course, Coombe still has John Brown chasing him down. Brown running around in 5th in that class, 15th overall. Of course, 15th means something in race 1. It gives you the race 2 pole. Doesn't really mean much in race number 2, apart from the points that it gives you. as we continue to watch these amateur field drivers mix in with the semi-pros. Remember, the amateur field drivers, the 4th class in the championship, the semi-pros, the 2nd class. They are mixing it up here with each of your classes out there. As talking about mixing it up, Det Crowther and Tom Woodcock are now fighting it out for the lead of the semi-pros. They are chasing just behind Kim Borkland. And there is Adam Delmont and Jaden Scotton as well just behind. So the fight for 2nd position in this race is certainly not over. I would say unless Espinera makes a significant mistake or loses about a 1.5 seconds every single lap to Borkland, this should be a win for Luciano Espinera, the Argentine driver, out at the very front. Delmont looks to the inside of Tom Woodcock, up towards turn number 1, and will make that move for 4th position overall. Woodcock's not going to fight it too hard. He knows that his fight really goes to Det Crowther. Yes, you want the overall race positions, but at the same time, you don't want to risk getting taken out. What has happened to Fraser Geraghty? It says that he may have crashed, and it looks like he's crashed on his pit exit, or has he just come to a slow stop towards the end of pit lane? He's just come to a slow stop. What he's doing is allowing the drivers behind from to just get past without getting involved in any fight himself. So that's why he came to a slow moment at the end of pit lane as Geraghty returns to the racing track. He's also been given a black flag and will need to come down pit lane to serve that one. As we are watching once more back in the amateur field, this is Ben Gibbons. He's holding on to 7th in class right now, 22nd overall in the race. You've got Aaron Matthews behind, followed by Chris London, as this is 3 drivers getting themselves involved in the midfield pack, towards the front of the pack here. Jaden Scotton trying to get past Crowther and Woodcock, the 2 semi-pros that are fighting it out for their class win, as Scotton does get past Crowther. They run side by side. Crowther lets Scotton through, but Woodcock is now the leading semi-pro driver. Woodcock taking what would be his first semi-pro win if he is able to keep it at the very front here. Det Crowther looking to try and take a 2nd class win in that semi-pro field. Alan McCain still does hold on to the pro lead right now. Jack Brown has recovered up into 2nd in class. But if McCain could do it, it would be his first win in class as well. So a lot of firsts going out there. 3 of the classes right now looking for first-time race winners in what would be the 10th race of the season. So I think that's quite an amazing statistic. If Vigard, Olsen, Leah, Scott Brown, Thomas Coombe, Geoff Saunders were all to have issues, and Chesney Vandenbroek was to be able to find his way to the front of the AM class, we could find it on all 4s. But I don't think we're going to see something like that happen unless we see the podium sitters in the AMs go bowling at turn number 1 again, like we saw in race number 1. Although we are hoping not. Of course, this Friday the 13th turning out to be unlucky for some and lucky for others. And Luciano Espinera's late entry into the session, meaning that he didn't get a lap time. He started race number 136. He finished it 14th, placing in 2nd on the grid for race 2. That late start looks like it may have just gifted him an overall race win. He's still leading by about 7 seconds right now. This is Jaden Scotton still trying to get past Tom Woodcock as he just sees Delmont and Borkland pulling away in front of him. He's going to be frustrated, stuck behind the semi-pros at the moment. He's going to be wanting to move his way through up towards the front of this one to try and get back into the fight for 2nd overall. Scotton does have the slipstream here on Woodcock. Moves to the inside as Jaden Scotton is going to go side by side into roller coaster. Woodcock is not going to back out of it though. Goes deep on the 2nd point. Scotton now looking to try and get the speed on the exit. Cannot do it, and Woodcock holds on ahead of the JC Academy Emerald driver. And Jaden Scotton stays in 5th position as we head up towards turn number 1 right now. As Scotton looks to the inside of Det Crowther, and he won't be able to do it yet again. He's going to have to wait behind in this one. We go back to the amateur field, as Kevin Marshall say, has a slow run through Hog Pen. Ben Gibbons is in 7th right now, trying to chase on Geoff Saunders, who's half a second up on the road. And Aaron Matthews is only half a second behind him. They are fighting for 20. And in this one, and has contact! And Ben Gibbons takes out Geoff Saunders, but was he nudged from behind? I think he might have been in that one. Let's have a look up towards turn number 1 there, because there was contact behind. He was a big old nudge from behind there. And it was Geoff Saunders who went off. It was, who was it that got involved? It was Aaron Matthews that bumped Gibbons in that one. And that is a real shame for Saunders, who's now down to 24th in this race. Another driver who is fighting for an amateur championship right now. Vigard Olsen-Lear holds on ahead of Stephen Fry. It looks like that has been a potential issue maybe for Fry. Because I don't think there was that separation between the podium in the class. It might have been, actually. But back down the order then, we see this group of cars here. Paul Hurley just makes his way past John Brown. Brown is not going to lay down and let that lie so easily. He tries to pick up a little bit of extra slipstream up towards Roller Coaster. We'll just have to wait for the moment, but gets right onto the rear end of Paul Hurley here, looking to try and get a potential exit to move up that position. Back towards the front of the field, and Jaden Scotton has made his way past the semi-pro drivers of Woodcock and Crowther, who continue to fight it out here in their semi-pro lead. Tom Woodcock leading Deck Crowther as we come up towards NASCAR Bend and in towards Left Hook now. But they are, Woodcock chasing right on the rear end of Scotton here, potentially just trying to use him to pull him along. Alan McCain still holding on to the lead in the Pro-Ams. In fact, has a gap of about 6 seconds to Jack Brown, who's second in class. So unless McCain has some issues here, it should go his way as we are approaching what will be the white flag lap. Delmont is all over the rear of Borkland. Luciano Espinera, though, continues to push around at the very front of the field. And in fact, let's give him a little bit of screen time, because Luciano Espinera started this one in second, but remember, started the whole evening in very, very stone cold last dead place. 36th on the grid for him in race number 1. He managed to pull that up to 14th position by the end of race 1. It gave him second on the grid for race number 2. And it meant that all he had to do was get past Alan McCain, who started on pole. He managed to do that, and he has just been putting in the laps out the front there. He hasn't been running the fastest lap times. He's 2/10 off of Borkland's lap time, for example. He's about 5/10 off of the fastest lap time out there by Delmont. However, he is putting consistent enough lap times in there that no one behind really has an opportunity of pulling into this one. But that being said, the white flag will come out, and Luciano Espinera will lead on to the last lap. It will be a fight for second, though, as Delmont to the outside. If Kim Borkland will try to hold it on that outside line, won't be able to keep it in just for now, but it is the white flag lap, which means Delmont is going to be pushing for it. Borkland is going to be defending. Jack Brown gets past Kev Aylett for 8th overall in this race. We head up towards Left Hook now. It's a slightly tighter line there from Borkland, going defensive, making sure Delmont is not going to put his nose in and go for that overtake. We ride on board with Adam Delmont, currently 3rd in this race, looking to try and take 2nd. There is still the fight in the lead of the semi-pros behind as well. Deck Crowther still chasing down Tom Woodcock in this one. No fight in the pro lead or the AM lead, so we'll keep an eye on these front lead fights at the moment. There are still a couple other fights going on, but Delmont goes to the outside of Borkland. He's going to try and switch it across in Oak Tree. There's a little bit of a nudge there. Delmont forcing Borkland wide. He has to stay behind, won't want to take advantage of that one. But Delmont now drops a little bit behind the semi-pros. Come onto the back shade as well with Woodcock leading Crowther by half a second. Up towards the front once more. Is Delmont going to have the speed up through the back straight into Roller Coaster? No, he's going to have to close it through Roller Coaster, get as close as he can to Portland. He gets extremely close. It's all going to be about the exit there. It's Luciano Espinera comes around the final turn, and for the first time this season, Espinera will win in the overall race and the pro class. Who will come home second? Delmont's behind Borkland, but it will go the way of Kim Borkland. In second, Tom Woodcock will take the win in the semi-pros, and Alan McCain will win the Pro-Ams. Vigard Olsen-Leah keeping Stephen Fry at bay here. Two different classes, but will Vigard Olsen-Leah hold on to 11th? Yes, he will, and Vigard Olsen-Leah will take his second win of the season. Vandenbroek just missing out on a podium in his first race, and Scott Malcolm, back-to-back podiums for him, a win in race 1, it's a third in race 2. Ben Gibbons takes home 21st overall in the end, 6th in class out of Aaron Matthews, and Chris London crosses the line behind. But what a win from Luciano Espinera, his first of the season for the man who started the evening at the very, very back of the field. It has been a great race for him. It has been a great race for a number of drivers out there, not so much for others, as there were issues, of course, throughout the evening with drivers having various issues with contact and accidents, but it is, at the end of the day, a great result for a number of drivers taking their first wins. And we will get ready for our post-race interviews after we have a look at our final race results here. So let's have a look at how the second race of the day ended up. It was won by Luciano Espinera in the end, ahead of Kim Borkland. Then Adam Delmont came home to take home third position. Jaden Scotton crossed the line in fourth. Tom Woodcock came home to win the semi-pros for the first time this season. So great job for Woodcock there. And Deck Crowther came home in second. Alan McCain took his first Pro-Am win as well this season, which means we saw 3 new winners in the top 3 classes. And it was Jack Brown who came home in second in class. Kev Aylett came home 9th overall. And Demis Tigchelaar rounded out the top 10. But the top 10 featured the podium of the top 3 classes as well, which is crazy. Vigard Olsen-Leah just missed out on the top 10, came home in 11th though to take what will be his second win of the season. It was looking like it could have been a double back at Long Beach, but he finally gets that second win on the board. Stephen Fry came home in a 12th overall ahead of Thomas Coombe, who took home second in class. Luke Woodhouse took home 14th ahead of John Brown, and Scott Malcolm rounded out the amateur podium. Chesley Vandenbroek came home 17th overall ahead of Paul Hurley. Torbjorn Maehle came home 19th, and Kevin Marshallsay came home in 20th position. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's get back to where we were. 21st position was Ben Gibbons ahead of Aaron Matthews. Chris London came home in 23rd, and Daniel Downing in 24th position. Daniel Lewis came home in 25th ahead of Mark Japper. Both of those drivers a lap down. 2 laps down was Geoff Saunders and Fraser Geraghty. And out of the race following that massive accident that we saw was Will Lyon and Arthur Thurtle. We also saw Carl Hardy out during that accident as well. Earlier in the race, we saw Lucas Henschel retire and Gonzalo Lovera out on the opening lap of the race. Not starting the second race of the day was Andrew Lovesey, JB Dejay or Stuart Gibbons. Right then, with race number 2 and our evening done, it is time for some interviews here. So let's see who is around that we can pull in. In fact, we are going to pull in Thomas Coombe for the first one here, because who managed to get home second in race number 2. It could have been a win in race number 1, but it was bowling towards turn number 1. But Thomas, overall, how do you feel this weekend, Wayne?
All things considered, with everything that happened, not too bad in the end. Obviously, qualifying went really well. I mean, I only did about 5 laps of practice going into qualifying, so to be like 8 places clear in AM was really good. But Yeah, turn 1 sort of undid all that, and then sort of worked my way back up just as I got into the AM lead, and then yeah, got taken out again. And then just as I was coming out of the final corner on race 1, got spun one more time just to top the race off. But yeah, I think all things considered, I'm pretty happy with. I think it was 4th in race 1 and 2nd in race 2. So yeah, damage limitation definitely, especially after Summit Point where I just couldn't take part because of my connection.
You said that you were hoping for a good evening today after having a great run at the non-point scoring round last week. It does mean that Hungaroring's pushed to the end of the season then. How are you feeling? We've now halfway through the season. You found yourself at the top of the championship. You found yourself falling down. How are you looking going into the rest of the season?
I think I've definitely got the pace to win the AM championship. I think I've proved that in most of the rounds. It's just I need to string together a few weeks where I actually get 2 races without being involved in other people's incidents. I think Jerez was the only round where that's not happened. So yeah, I just want to get some weeks in where I have no problems with other people, and I can just do my own thing and hopefully get some more class wins and get some more points on the board.
Well done, Thomas. So for some, as you say, some great results anyway. You managed to recover, especially in race number 1 there. Race number 2, you got on that podium. So good luck for the rest of the season, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you more as we continue into the second half.
Cheers, thank you.
There we go then. Thomas Coombe coming home second in that one. Just for those over in the chat as I'm having a look over on the YouTube there, just to remind you all that this season the SRL have introduced a penalty system. So it means if there are any issues that are reported by drivers due to incidents, penalties are applied. So let's not argue too much about it in public forums. And let's just celebrate what was an amazing evening of racing here on the SRL TCR League, as we always see in season number 10, with the highs and lows that you always expect in league racing. Right, let's see if we can pull someone else over into this one to talk about how their race got on. In fact, we are going to see if we can, I'm seeing who's available here that I had some good races in that one, and we're going to see if we can pull across the man who came home second in the semi-pro field in the end. It was Deck Crowther. You had a really good fight there with Tom Woodcock and the pro drivers in race number 2, but you just missed out on getting past Tom towards the end. How was that race for you?
I enjoyed it. It certainly went better than Wednesday's race. I weren't expecting you to drag me in then, to be fair. I wondered what was going on at first. Yeah, it was a good race. I enjoyed tonight, to be fair, yeah. I made a couple of mistakes in that second race, which let a few of them pass me. I weren't concentrated. I was yapping too much with people. But yeah, almost got back past him. Got back to him, but just couldn't make the move.
Because you had a lot of pro drivers around you trying to find their way through. You certainly weren't making it easy for them, nor do you have to. How do you feel in there? Because you had Borkland, Delmont, Scott, and all trying to make their way through whilst you were fighting Woodcock. Of course, you were leading for a moment there before that fight fell you behind. Did that frustrate you that another class was getting involved, or was it all just part of the fun?
It's all part of the racing, isn't it? Like I said, I made a mistake on that corner, which let Delmont past. And I saw him coming on the inside, so I just kept wide, let him go, and then tried to carry on battling with Tom. But unfortunately, Tom also got past me a little bit later on because I made another mistake. Well, nothing I can do about it now.
Wow, it's been an interesting first half of the season. Of course, this one marks our halfway point. How are you feeling for the second half? We've got 5 more rounds to come and some great tracks.
Yeah, these last few races are tracks that I do like. Apart from the last one, I think it's Road America, isn't it?
Well, Road America has now been moved to round 9. So we have round 10 will be Hungaroring.
I don't mind Hungaroring, so hopefully that'll go okay. Like I said, the rest of the tracks I do enjoy, but apart from Road America, whenever that one is. So hopefully it'll go pretty well for me.
Wow. Have a great time in the second half of the season, and good luck to you, and well done for a strong result here today.
Yeah, thank you very much, pal.
And then we will put in one last driver into the broadcast booth here today. We'll put in a couple more, actually. We'll talk to Alan McCain next, who managed to come home to take the win in the Pro-Am field in race number 2 due to the invert put you on pole there. Alan, what a great race that was for you. Talk us through it.
I don't even know where to start. all I did was try to stay out of the way of the pros, tag on to the back of the semi-pros and see where it got me, and it's got me where I wanted to be, which was P1.
It certainly did. It got you P1 into the Pro-Am field ahead of Jack Brown. It's your first win this season that marks the halfway point. So how are you feeling for the second half? Do you think that you've got an opportunity now that you've got that first win on the board that you might be able to find some more?
Hopefully that everything will look up now and I'll be closer to the front. I'm having lots of trouble with qualifying. I just can't qualify the car. It's making me start at the back. I was just lucky tonight and got the reverse grid, which helped massively.
That's always the help, is the reverse grid to top 15, and it's caused a lot of drivers to find their first wins over the last few seasons, so it has helped you out, of course. How are you feeling then about some of the tracks that you've got coming up? We've got a mixture, of course, the final round now being Hungaroring. It's going to be an interesting one. Do you think that there's a circuit that you're really looking forward to, or is there one that you're really not looking forward to?
Well, to be honest, I have driven Hungaroring in several other cars, but I have never driven it in the TCR, so it'll be a complete different learning curve to drive it there. So I'm hoping the Civic will be one of the better cars there for the corner handling. So we'll just take it as it comes.
All right, well, good luck for the rest of the season, Alan, and well done on your first class win.
Thank you very much.
And then finally, we will pull one more driver who was in. He was hanging around and then he disappeared, but we will pull down into the booth for the last one this evening. Will be Jaden Scotton. You managed to come home there in 4th position. You've been fighting at the front all evening long. Talk us through it, because there has been fights the whole night.
Yeah, it was a good night. I'm glad to have stayed out of trouble after Summit Point, which was my finest work. It was a lot cleaner tonight. I think Lady Luck not on my side tonight. I found myself in the wrong place at the wrong time more often than not. But ultimately, it was 2 decent runs. Ultimately, if you look at the bigger picture. But yeah, some disappointing, but I think it was alright. It was alright.
Because you got some strong points on the board for an evening that didn't see too many pro drivers out there. And race number 2, obviously, with 2 pro drivers knocked out of the race. As you say, there was quite a few incidents out there, including that big wreck that went on through the exit of Snake. But you did find your way through it without any issues, which meant that you were fighting with Adam and with Borkland throughout the whole evening. But of course, you were caught up behind Crowther and Woodcock, and it sort of separated you from that lead fight. How was that feeling for you at that moment? I'm sure it was a bit frustrating.
Yeah, well, I wanted to shake Tom a little bit. You know, he's my teammate. I saw Delmont sail up the inside of him a few laps prior, and then he was defending hard, but I will say that was the best race I had all night. Was with him, and it was hard but fair. I thought it was a good move off in the end on him, but he didn't make it easy. Yeah, I think that was fun. That was fun part of the race. It's always going to be tough to catch Adam and Kim anyway, so I enjoyed the battle.
It was a great battle to watch as well from the commentary booth and from the cameras. We've halfway through this season then now as we exit VIR. We've still got 5 more rounds to go. How are you feeling about the second half of the season? Is there anywhere you're really looking forward to where you think you might be able to get some more luck on your side and look for that first win?
Well, Mugello is a great track for me. I like Mugello, so that's definitely looking forward to that. But I'd see how it goes. Not put any pressure on getting certain results. Just going to try and enjoy it and run as well as I can, and see what happens.
All right, well done, though, on what was, in the end, some decent results, having to make your way through the order. And good luck once again for the second half of the season.
Thank you.
Jaden Scotton there coming home in the second race in 4th position. He did manage to dispatch the 2 semi-pro drivers, including Tom Woodcock, as he said, his teammate there. He did have a great battle with that one. But we are done here around the VIR circuit for this evening. And that does mark the halfway point on the calendar then, as we have 5 rounds now completed. 5 more rounds to go, of course, as we head to Mugello next week on February 20th. Brands Hatch will round out February and March. Now we'll see 3 rounds with Catalonia, Road America and the postponed Hungaroring marking the final round of the season. What an evening of racing it has been. It have highs and lows for our drivers out there. Some big accidents, some big battles, but it all will come down to a head as we head into the second half of the championship. It means that the points are just going to get tighter and tighter in each of those 4 championships, as well as the overall and the team's championship, of course. If you want to keep up to date live with the championship standings, which will be updated within moments of the end of this broadcast, then make sure you head across to the SRL Discord over here, and you can check out all of the standings over there and join in the discussions as well. Now, if you're watching on the SRL TV YouTube channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of these Friday night TCR races, and make sure also that you hit the thumbs up as well to show your support. If you're watching the unofficial broadcast over on the Twitch page, so make sure you hit the follow button there so you're notified when we go live at Joseph Wright Broadcasting. But from here in the Joseph Wright Broadcasting booth and from SRL TV, we hope you have a fantastic week ahead of you, and we will see you next time out when we head to Mugello for round number 6. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight, and have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.